Yes, it is the potato cam night. Welcome everybody into another post-race stream for the truck series. I'm just gonna be real with you. My camera broke, so you're stuck with potatoes. Spam those potatoes. Not the worst camera I've used, not the best, but it's kind of how I describe the truck race. Not the worst one, but not the best. Yeah. So spam those potatoes in the chat. And listen, you can't really say too much to me, which I'll get a little closer here. Can't say too much to me because I picked the right driver to win this race. But I will make it short and sweet for y'all since I don't think you want to look at this all night. This is my normal camera right here. It's not even a potato. It's just not working. So it's what it is. But let's get into the race itself. I thought it was solid for the most part. By the way, how do I sound? Stop spamming potatoes for a moment. Do I sound okay? Because if that's the case, that's what matters. You don't need to see my face. Yeah, my 144p. I can't wait for people on playback. Your quality really sucked. Like, yeah, I know. It was not great. But let's go over how this race was. All right, I am a potato that sounds good. Sweet. Awesome. Well, Christian Eckes won this race by about 1.5 tenths over Kyle Busch. Zane Smith in third, then fourth was Matt Crafton, Tyler Ankrum finishing out the top 5. Heim, Taylor Gray, Carruth, Enfinger, and Lane Riggs, your top 10. From there, the rest of the lead lap guys are as followed. Bailey Curry in 11th, Caden Honeycutt in 12th. 13th is Daniel Dye. 14th is Jake Garcia. 15th, Tanner Gray. Ben Rhodes 16th, and 17th, Nick Sanchez. From there, 3 are a lap down. Stephen Parsons, Connor Jones, and Ty Dillon. That is your top 20. And then William Sawalich and Stuart Friesen, 21st and 22nd. Those are your guys who finished 2 laps down. 3 down is 23rd place Dean Thompson, Timmy Hill, as well as Matt Mills. 26th, Thad Moffitt, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, NASCAR Weekly Podcast. 4 laps down, so was Lawless Allen in 27th. 28th, Mason Massey. 5 down, Maggio, 29th. 6 laps down, Spencer Boyd in 30th was 8 laps down, as was Brett Holmes in 31st. Keith McGee, the greatest normal name in NASCAR to say, he finishes 32nd, 12 down. Chase Purdy, 22 off the pace in 33rd. Flat tire, among other issues. They didn't really follow too much up on it. And Ty Majeski, Trey Hutchins, and Justin Carroll out of this race, 34th, 35th, 36th, respectively. This race was 250 laps long, an hour, 39 minutes, and 55 seconds. There were 3 leaders, 4 lead changes on the night, and 6 caution flags. I'm going to get that out of my way. Now, let me get to those super chats really quick. Again, I am a good sounding potato, but lick that like button. Let's see if we can get to 100 likes on this on a Saturday night truck night in America. Nap Racing Fan 927, thank you for the 2. Too many zoomed up shots. Please, Fox, zoom out. I agree. They definitely should do that, but that's just a Fox issue in general. At least their cameras look better than this. Listen, it happens. This kind of stuff happens, so I might as well make a joke out of it and bring in more attention to it that you obviously can already see. CBB, thank you for the 5. Shout out to Raja for another top 10. He now has as many top 10s as he got all last season. I hope he guests on NWP soon. That would rock. I mean, we follow each other, so I can probably send him something over. I don't know if he's very busy, I'm guaranteeing these days. His stock is definitely rising, and rightfully so. Sly Supersonic, thank you for the 504, saying, good race, no one called for wrecks. From a Busch fan, congratulations, Eckes. He had the track position at the end, 8 out of 10. And Michael Kelly Gilliam, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Yeah, I don't think it was a barn burner. I see we got, I think, Rodeo on Fox right now. I'm going to turn that off. But it was decent. I think the first two stages, not much really happened. You just basically had pretty simple new age Bristol racing, which I know a lot of people are probably going to be wishing that it was, wreck 'em, stack 'em, all of the ways that old Bristol was pre-2007. That's just not how it is at this point. Handling still matters. I am still excited for the Cup race. It's not the bad short track packages that we've had in the past for this. It is different. Intermediate package, I should say. So it could be much, much worse. Awesome. I'm away right now, visiting family, and I'm just glad this is getting across well to you. Looking in the chat here, I want to point out that this ends, I believe, the Spire streak of Spire just winning every single truck race, everything under the sun for trucks. So, it was close, but Eckes has been really strong, I would say, for a good part of this year so far. Very small sample size. He dominated this race last year. It's why I picked him to win. He got redemption, so a lot of storylines moving with this, even if we're not necessarily having the biggest barn burner of a race itself. Chevy still is going. Yeah, the Chevy streak, the Chevy domination still going. Correct me on this. I was off and on during this race, so I will admit I do not have the greatest scope of it. But I believe is the 91 a Ford? Because the top two I know are Chevys, but I believe, or was Zane Smith a Chevy? I want to say it was a Chevy, but I'm not 100% sure. You can correct me in the chat if I am wrong. But let's go through a bit of this race here. So Christian Eckes won from the pole. Okay, so we got top three was Chevy. Again, I am learning still about the truck series. I follow Cup and Xfinity very closely. Still learning trucks, so appreciate it. Definitely, I appreciate it, you guys. Chevy is the manufacturer to beat right now in the trucks. They just are ahead of everybody else. They got the best drivers, best team so far. And Ford and Toyota got a lot of work to do with that. But Eckes wins from the pole. That's the big one. The redemption was not flag to flag, but it was pretty complete, if I had to say so myself. Now, there were a few wrecks and spins and stuff and hard racing in the first stage or two. But again, not much happened. It was just a lot of good racing throughout, though again, it's Bristol, so fans might not be crazy about it. I personally liked having mostly clean racing, though. Connor Jones being a menace going underneath onto the apron was pretty fun. I believe he and his team he and his crew chief, I should say, are being called to the NASCAR hauler. They're probably there as we speak. And of course, I said redemption with the truck series. So we Noah Coleman quoting Vince Welch here, racing redemption at his hands. Listen, Adam Alexander is a blessing to have, and I'm glad he's back this week, because if I had to listen to anything like Vince Welch used to be or Jamie Little, it's going to be a rough night. But yeah, Connor Jones, man, got to rein that in, man. Got to rein that in. He's a cool guy. I've been able to talk to him before, but he should get that butt chewing that Will England says he's getting. He should get that, because that wasn't a rookie move. That was just a dumb move. But for the most part, it was pretty straightforward. Again, not a bad start, just kind of, in the middle, average kind of racing. And I will say, for many of those that were calling out the fans through the week, I guess you could somewhat count me as that, though I don't think it was necessarily a bad thing how fans reacted to Phoenix. You notice how people aren't necessarily complaining about this race the way they are about either of the Phoenix races. Like, just saying, there's nuance here, man. There was a scuffle post-race. Well, let's Let me pull up the Twitter machine, and maybe we can pull that up if we manage to find it. Let's see, because again, I was setting up the stream right after, so okay, so here's what we got here. There was a conflict on pit road after the Craftsman truck race between Stuart Friesen and Nick Sanchez. Ooh. So I'm not going to share it on the stream just because it is somebody else's work. I don't want to get in all the trouble with that, but you can look at Joseph Srigley on Twitter. I'm going to put the link in the chat. That way we can, everyone can see it. But there was a bit of, I wouldn't say a fight, more just they kind of grabbed each other. Everyone wrestled around a little bit and it got broken up. A NASCAR style fight per se. Listen, I was right next to the Chastain deal with Noah Gragson. So that was a fight. Like, punches were thrown on that one. But I'm going to share the tweet right here. Yeah, no bloody noses this time. And yeah, Daniel Dye, of course, is the main cameraman when it comes to Rex. It's absolutely amazing. But also, if you don't want to click on that or it's, anything like that, it is on, I retweeted on Twitter, so you can check it there too. See, that I'm a weird streamer. I give you links at times to get the full story, even if it sends you away from the stream for a while, is what it is. Anyway, first two stages, Kyle Busch sweeps them both. In the first one, Eckes, Sanchez, Majeski, and Zane Smith were your top five. Then Taylor Gray, Ankrum, again, having a great year. I believe he is still the points leader as we run right now. Ben Rhodes in 8th. 9th is Honeycutt, and 10th is Enfinger. That's stage 1. Again, Busch led pretty much the entire stage. The biggest thing of note in stage 2 was that Raja Caruth got the top line going, and he moved up through the pack, got a top 10. And hey, listen, I will say that Steve-O in the chat is right. Shout out to the crowd for a truck race that was not bad whatsoever. I'm really excited seeing how the weather looks clear for tomorrow. I'm really excited to see what the crowd looks like for the Cup race. And wow, shout out to my grandma for the 20 in the chat. I appreciate it. I will be up there tomorrow. We'll have the Chevelle in the background for that one. I promise you guys in the chat, and should be a lot of fun. Cannot wait for that. As for, there's no comment on it, but I do appreciate it, and I will see you tomorrow. As for stage 2, Nick Sanchez got 2nd, Eckes in 3rd, Majeski and Zane Smith the top 5. Same top 5, just 2nd and 3rd flipped from stage 1 on stage 2. Ankrum in 6th, Friesen in 7th. 8th is Matt Crafton. Rhodes and Lane Riggs your top 10. And from there, a pretty straightforward, and I would say for the most part, fun final stage. Because, and I will agree, I see Elite Precision 29 in the chat. By the way, awesome channel. You should definitely subscribe to him. I've been subscribed for a while. Love his stuff. But I other than that, I fully agree that 2 good truck races in a row, and you are glad that they added more laps for this race. I am too. I think that it really fleshed out the race. Last year's race, I think, was like 72 minutes long. It was way too short even for a truck race. So I think a good move on their part to understand that there is that demand, especially with concrete Bristol. I think 250 is the way to go when it comes to these truck races. And then 300 or 350, or hell, if you even want to on Bristol Night Race weekend, you could probably make the Xfinity 400 rate, the Xfinity race 400 laps long. Cannot speak. Apologies there. English still difficult for me, even though I've spoken my whole life. You could make the Xfinity race as long as it needs to be. It just always races well at Bristol. But I think, yeah, 250 laps felt complete, like Noah Coleman says in the chat. I agree. Perfect, just like Napa Racing Fan says in the chat. So let's get to that final stage. So Kyle Busch charges ahead early on, and within a lap, we have Majeski and Rhodes crashing. I believe this takes Majeski out. He finishes 34th, end of the road and the day for him. And with 97 to go, we have a restart between Busch and Eckes, and they make contact. At first, I thought Eckes' tire was going to get taken down. Very, very aggressive racing on his part. But I would say short track standards, especially NASCAR, especially the Truck Series, very clean for Bristol standards, short track standards, and Truck Series standards. And I think it was incidental contact, so they didn't keep bashing into each other. I thought it was really, really good overall racing between them. And to put it lightly, a couple laps later, Eckes just flat out flies by Kyle Busch and outduels him. Kyle Busch charged at the end. We'll talk about that. Purdy was slow. I think he had a flat tire before his issues as well. But those two were dueling each other, and Matt Crafton looked like the Matt Crafton of a decade ago, coming up and battling side by side with Kyle Busch all through lap traffic, as well as they're doing this 3 and almost 4 wide if they really wanted to push the issue. But those 3 seemed to me to be the class of the field late in this race, and it was really good racing between them. Again, clean racing, multiple grooves. Not the classic Bristol, but still, in my opinion, a really fun race to watch with it. But it of course ended with 32 to go. You have Sanchez and Stuart Friesen wrecking. That brings out the caution, and we have a restart with 24 laps left where, again, Eckes just flat out beats Kyle Busch at Bristol, his stomping grounds, playground, if you will. Kyle Busch mounted a charge at the end, whether or not it was just his truck took time to come on or he was saving his tires, whatever it may be, he did not have enough to catch that 19 truck. And, Eckes gets redemption. Put the tweet in there, the quote, the tweet, whatever you want to say of it, redemption, whatever, the Vince Welch one. Put it on in the chat. But I will say, Jonathan has a great question in the chat. What is with Ben Rhodes this year? Completely off? Yeah, that team, him, whatever it might be, they are off from just how they normally would run. By the way, we are Eckes likes away, 19 likes away from hitting 100. Let's hit 100 before we end this thing off. We're getting really close to the end. Again, if you notice, I think it's right up here. Yeah. The pickup Throwdown Truck Series podcast is technically the name for these Truck Series post-race shows. So thank you to the Daily Downforce for that. A lot more to come with that. So definitely pay attention to this channel as well as ones associated with, and of course, the Daily Downforce itself. 4 away. Again, subscribe if you're new. We do this after every race, but I think we're the only channel NASCAR-wise on YouTube that has immediate reactions to not just the Cup, but also Xfinity and trucks. So if you're into the lower series, subscribe here. And we are over 100. You licked that like button really well. Much appreciated. Dislike saying that he's still drunk. I mean, maybe it's just the hangover. The championship hangover has many different meanings for Ben Rhodes after how he's been the last 2 championships, I believe. But again, not a bad race. The Truck Series this year had a horrible start with Daytona, but I think they have held themselves really, really well the last, I'd say all 3 races. Yeah, they weren't barn burners. Some of them I wouldn't even say were necessarily good. But after how last season ended, and some of the just absolute terrible races that we had during that season, and then Daytona being even worse, in my opinion, though many would disagree, give them their credit. They're racing better. And you're still scared by the potato cam. I completely understand. Let's end this thing off. We're going to unpin this message here, and I will give you guys the sign off for the night. Thank you guys so much for watching. Spam potatoes in the chat for me. I promise, even if I don't get my normal camera working, I'll buy a decent camera that does not, lag when I move anything. Look at this. Speed of sound. I'm the Flash. spam those potatoes in there like the Flash. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it a ton. I'll catch you after the Cup race tomorrow. I will be able to talk better then. So you guys have a good night, and I'll catch you later. Have a good night.